Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing The Rival Networks by Formal Ferret Games. This is a game for 2 players only. It plays from 30 to 45 minutes. So this is a recreation of The Networks, a game released by Formal Ferret in 2016. That game played 1 to 5 players. So it did have a solo mode and you could play it 2-player. This game is a little bit less complicated, at least according to BGG, and plays in a shorter amount of time. Although I have played the networks at 2 players quite a few times, and I feel like with that player count, that game at 2 players and this game are going to basically run the same amount of time. It's just a matter of you're playing with 2. So here we have our rulebook. The networks, and of course this version, is a set collection tableau building style of game where you are playing as an executive of a TV station and you're trying to have the most viewers. And you do that by scheduling shows, assigning stars to those shows, maybe even adding ads to the shows for increased revenue. And all of this will, over the course of the game, get you viewers. And viewers is how you win. So these are the different types of shows that you can do. So you can do action shows, reality shows, sports shows, and so forth, and so on. This game has quite a bit of humor. That's probably my favorite aspect of the networks in general, is just the humor in it. So they have, actors that are clearly inspired by real life actors. And then they have shows that are just, kind of ridiculous. The art that you can see down here is kind of hit or miss for people. They either like it or they don't. It seems there's not a lot of people in the middle there. You get an appendix at the back, which is always nice to see. And then a game log. So these are player pieces. So each player will have 3. One will track your viewers, and then you got a couple extra for different aspects of the game. Just little wooden tokens with a +20 on the back side in case you go around the track. You essentially have 3 tracks for each player because there are 3 time periods that you are putting your shows in. Let's see if we can find the main game board real quick. Okay, so it looks like it's piecemeal. So here is part of the main game board. So this track, you'll have 3 of them. You'll have one of them for your late night show, which is 10 o'clock. You'll have one of them for your 9 o'clock show. And then finally, you'll have one for your early night show, your 8 o'clock show. And this is where those little scoring tokens would apply. You're gonna start on the 0 and go around as your shows get viewership. At any time that you pass one of these eyes, that's when you're going to get like a permanent viewer. And those are your victory points at the end of the game. Those are also hidden information. So you're going to gain them from round to round. And then at the end of each round, you're essentially going to hide them behind a screen that the game provides. And then lastly, we have the green room, which is where your stars hang out until you assign them to a show. So this will be your main board right here. And then to that main board, you're going to assign several different types of cards. First being the show cards. So these show cards, they have a different type. So for instance, this is an action show, the Emergency Broadcaster Test Hour. This is actually one of the starting cards. So these 3 right here would just start in your 3 starting areas. And you'll probably replace them pretty quickly because they have a 0 up here, which means they have no immediate viewership. And then we have 3 of the same vein for the opposing player. So here we have some executive cards. Executives are like special powers. So you'll deal these out to the players. And that'll be basically a special power that you only have. but they let you do different things like draw an additional card or maybe give you extra money, things of that nature. We have award night cards. So you're going to play over 3 seasons, and each season is going to have one of these awards cards. So you can see that there's several for season 1 before we get into season 2. And essentially at the end of the season, you're going to look at each objective here on the card and then score viewers for that objective. So if you have the most viewership in your 8 p.m. slot, you'll get a permanent viewer at the end of the season. And then, of course, there's some cards for second and third season as well. The card stock on these are really nice. It's linen finish, so they're nice and thick, and aren't going to take a bend or anything like that. And then we have our actual shows, and you can see they're breaking up into season 2s and season 1s, and then we also have season finales. Season finales are essentially going to shuffle in and will be the trigger for the end of the game. But let's look at some of our shows. So you'll have essentially a market of these. I believe there's 3 of them going to be out at each time. And one of the things you can do on your turn is you can take a show. And when you take a show, you're going to replace one of the shows that you already have running. Up here, it tells you what time period it wants to be in. So this one wants to be in your early hour, your 8 p.m. If it is in that time period, it's going to give you 3 viewers immediately. If it's in a different time period, it's only going to give you 1. And then down here at the right, you see some additional symbols. Those are essentially the symbols that you want to match up with your stars that you're assigning to these shows. So just say I replace this one here. Just put a few out. So when we get to the other components, we can talk about them. So another deck of cards here. These are going to be your stars. So you're going to select a show on your turn, and that's going to replace one of the shows you have out. And then you're going to select a set of cards. So one half of the set is going to be a star, and the other half is going to be an ad. And ads are actually good in this game because they generate revenue for you. So here are your different stars. You have like a retired athlete. He's going to add 3 viewership to your show, but he can only go to a sports show. Whereas you have a few different cards mixed in here, but we have a Shakespearean star here who will add 2, but he only wants to go, I believe this is a drama and this is sci-fi. Why he wants to go to sci-fi, who knows? So these are the stars that you want to add to your show. And then of course, this one is one of the starting ones and they can go anywhere. So this will be in your green room at the beginning of the game. So we have our stars here. We've got a couple of our extra cards here. I'll try to sort these out a bit. But that is one type of card. So whenever when you select a star, you're going to select more than just that one card, because each card is going to be paired with one of the ads. So if I really want this Shakespearean star, or if I really want the orange juice, I have to take the pair. I can't just pick one or another. And there's going to be 3 different pairs for you to choose from. So the orange juice tells you where it wants to be. It wants to be in your late night, your 10 p.m. slot. If it's in your 10 p.m. slot, it's going to give you 4 money. If not, it's only going to give you 1. So again, you're trying to select cards that match up with each other. So it's set collection in that sense. The last type of card type that we have here, and we actually already have some, but we have another pack of cards here, are these, I forget what they call them in the game, but they're essentially like quick objective cards or special ability cards. Because what you can do is you can pay however much they're asking, and then it gives you an immediate special effect. So this one is discard 2 cards with matching genres from your green room, and in turn you gain 4 viewers, which is really powerful, but it does cost you 6 money. And then we've got more ads, more stars, and so on. So these are kind of like the special powers. There'll be, again, 3 of these out each round, 3 or 4. And these are things that you can essentially activate for their special ability. Our other tokens that we have here is we have our viewer tokens. So again, whenever you gain a viewer, you're going to gain one of these tokens. And then at the end of the round, you're going to place it behind your screen so that your opponent doesn't know exactly how many you have. And the reds are 3s if you ever run out of them. Let's see what else we got in the box here. We've got another board. So we do have a board here that will add to the main board, and these are for your reruns. Essentially, whenever you get rid of a show, it becomes a rerun. It doesn't generate you viewers or anything, but you do need to keep in mind which shows you have in reruns because they count towards completing objectives. So there may be something in the game that says have one of each type of show, so you need to know what type of shows you got rid of at the end of the round. This will comprise the shields for each player. So we got one for yellow and one for blue that we'll have to put together. And then the last thing are these nice little cheat sheets. It's easy when you only got a 2-player game, you only got to make 2 of them, but any game that includes a handy sheet like this, so I don't have to keep going back into the rule book, is something that I really appreciate. Also, here's our turn order here. So again, take a show from the show display, and then you're going to score the ratings based off of what time slot you put it in. And then you're going to assign a star and an ad together. So again, they're a paired set. And then optional is you can attach stars from your green room to your different shows. And then you can buy a network card. That's what these little special power cards are, the network cards. And that's it. That's everything you get in a copy of the Rival Networks from Formal Ferret Games.